let's talk about 10 things that students can do that are petrifying. So I'm just going to let you into a secret now. Driving instructors don't get petrified. Yeah, we wouldn't be in the job if that, but I had to get you to come in on the thumbnail. I mean, what else can I do? I'm up against a lot of people here. Like, I had to say something. So thanks for clicking on the video. Right, let's get started. So let's do 10 things that students could do that could be completely petrifying if they were being taught by their parent. The number one thing that I'm going to put right at the top of the list, can you guess what it would be? Left foot braking. Yeah, that's really quite scary. That's going to go right at the top, I think. I don't think there's going to be any order to this, but that one is just coming straight into mind. Left foot braking. Now, the reason why that is so bad is because the student, if they've had a number of lessons, would have learnt to put the clutch down with quite a lot of force. So if they're driving around and then they get confused and they left foot brake, they're going to put it down proper hard, and that is extremely dangerous to the person behind. There is nothing that I can do as a driving instructor to stop that from happening apart from saying no brake, off brake, off brake. That is literally all I can do. If there's a car behind us, we run serious risk of them going into the back of us. It is quite a rare fault to happen, but it does happen, and when it happens, it is very scary. Okay, so coming in with number two, I would say that the next quite terrifying thing, if you want to call it that, if you are a parent teaching their child, is putting the handbrake on instead of changing gear. Yeah, that happens. We'll just be driving down the road, we'll go 1, 2, and then we'll go to third, or what we should be, and they just ram on the handbrake. Yeah, they get their gear shift, their gear stick and their handbrake all mixed up, and they just put on their handbrake, and then the alarm all goes off if you've got an alarm system, and yeah, that can be relatively petrifying if that was to happen. So the person behind won't have any brake lights. The handbrake is only holding the back 2 tyres, so it's not going to physically stop you immediately, but it's going to seriously slow down the car with no brake lights. So the person behind is again at risk, and it can damage your handbrake, of course. If you do it on a turn, that could be really bad, because we're now talking about a handbrake turn, could do some skidding. So yeah. Make sure that you're 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Make sure you use a gear stick for changing gear. Handbrake's not very good at it. Coming in at number 3, swerving. Definitely swerving. Driving down the road, they see a hazard or the person in front just pulls up and parks. Immediate overtake. Ugh, that can be really quite scary. I remember talking to a instructor about this. And he just said, under those circumstances, when students do that, sometimes there's just luck. There's just luck involved. It's just lucky that there's no one on the right. You know, we are superheroes, driving instructors, and we try and get in there and stop the car immediately and go for the wheel and stuff. So we are we have cat-like reflexes, right? So we're going to be on the ball and try and stop you from crashing into an overtaking car. But swerving, yeah, that can be quite scary. Swerving for potholes, swerving for people who have maybe a car comes up too quickly in a side road and then they swerve, or somebody in front stops and they swerve, or they turn a corner and there's a parked car and they swerve. Yeah, that can be quite scary. Lots of emergency stops over the years on that, or grabbing the wheel, or just luck that there was no one there. 4, emergency stopping for amber traffic lights. Yeah, so we'll just be going down the road. The light has been green for some time. The student doesn't see that. They don't react. They don't try and slow down for a green light that's been green for ages. They sometimes maybe even try and speed up. No, that's not the answer, guys. If it's been green for a while, anticipate the light change. Lights change. That's what they do all day, every day. They just go around in a cycle, yeah? So if it's been green for a while, it's going to change. Don't speed up. Have a neutral speed, or maybe even taper off the speed a little bit, because you don't want to be doing an emergency stop. If the student panic stops and doesn't check their mirrors, that can be quite scary, yeah? Because the person behind could just go into the back of us because they're keen. They're going to think, oh, the learner's going to go through. They're travelling way too fast. If the light changes, I'm going to be able to tail on and just get through. And then, yeah, that can be really quite scary. Again, the only thing that a driving instructor can do at that stage, if it's gone that far, is just to say off brake, go, go, go. 5, closing their eyes to go through gaps. I'm afraid I've had that, yeah. Closing your eyes to go through a gap, or taking your hands off the wheel when you're about to go through a gap. Yeah, talking from personal experience. Student comes up to a gap and they go, I've literally had people go like cover their eyes like that. Yeah, that's quite scary. Again, quite rare, but I'm afraid I have had that. If you don't know, don't go. Yeah. If your inner voice and gut instincts are telling you that you can't fit through the gap, yeah, rather stop than take your hand off and cover your eyes. Yeah. 6, a total and utter overreaction to somebody oncoming who's overtaking something. Now, I'm not going to say that this happens all the time, because people oncoming can overtake really, really badly sometimes. And yes, we do need to stop, and that is incredibly important. But sometimes the student can really overreact with things. One of the biggest, closest accidents that I ever had was when we were going down Old Bath Road, if you can imagine it, with the double mini roundabout at the bottom, Cheltenham people, right? Double mini roundabout at the bottom when you've got to go straight on at both left lane, right lane. We were going down that road, Old Bath Road, going towards that. Oncoming person overtook a bike, yes, very badly. However, instead of my student stopping in those situations with an emergency stop or a slow down, she steered violently to the left, went up the curb, and we nearly went straight into the wall. I stopped the car about a Rizzler paper away from the wall, and we didn't crash. That was pretty crazy. 7, checking your blind spot, which affects your turn when you are changing lanes. So again, a near accident that me and my student had once was when we were changing lanes. He went mirrors, signal, which is called an asking signal, and before he left, he was going to do the blind spot, but as he blind spotted, he went like this and turned the wheel completely, and we nearly hit the car on the right years and years ago. So it's mirrors, signal, keep the wheel straight, blind spot, then if it's okay, then move over. All right. 8, getting confused on a roundabout, a spiral roundabout, forgetting where they're going, and then panicking and moving all over the place on the roundabout. Yeah, crossing lines, you must never cross lines on a roundabout, petrifying. Somebody today crossed the line from the right all the way in front of me to the left and then turned left. Not a learner, normal person who can't drive, to be completely honest with you. What the hell was that about? But crossing the lines, guys, when you come up to roundabouts, look at the sign with your instructor, look at it, understand where your exit is, and if necessary, count your exits. So many students will go into a roundabout and they'll go, where am I going? But at that time, you need to stay on course. Choose the easiest place. If you're on your driving test, right, and you go into a roundabout, and then the student panics and says to the examiner, where am I going? The examiner just won't talk, because he will literally inject panic into you if he says anything. So he will stay silent at this stage and just be on high alert. Guys, just stick to your lane. On approach, I strongly recommend that you look at the sign and count your exits as you go round. Don't go too fast. Count your exits as you go round and try and remember where you're going on approach rather than in the roundabout, because crossing the lanes again can be very dangerous. 9, not knowing how ancillary controls work or looking at them too much when they're interacting. The ancillary control needs to be a drive, and then let's just say you're demisting the front windscreen. Drive, look down, see where it is, drive, make sure you know where it is, and then interact. Try not to go, oh, what's going on down here? How does that, do I do? And then we're literally just going to crash into the curb. We're going to crash into the parked cars. We're going to go over to the right. We're going to break the speed limit. We're going to go too slowly. Guys, when you're doing your ancillary control, we're going to look down. We're going to look up, know where it is. Look down, look up, know where it is. And then interact with it, and then back again. Hold the steering wheel straight. Do it on a part of the road where the road is straight and you've got some time to do it. You don't have to do it straight away when the examiner asks you. You've got time, yeah? Just choose your moment. If you've got some meeting traffic to deal with, or you've got a roundabout to deal with, do that first, yeah? Understand where the ancillary control is. I kid you not. On a driving test, I once had somebody have a fizzed up window. This was years ago. The ancillary control questions were not actually on the test at this time. The front window got misted. My student didn't know how to do it, and I swear to God, she did an Ace Ventura Pet Detective. She opened the window and put her head out the window and drove with her head out of the window. Guys, I've seen it all, yeah? Seen it all. And 10. Getting the pedals completely mixed up and missing the pedals. So let's just say the student wants to brake because there's some lights coming up. They use the accelerator. Yeah, that happens quite a lot as well. This is one that we can intervene with because we can put the clutch down and use the brake. So yeah, an interesting one, that one. But the student would be like, oh, wrong pedal. And then we were like, yeah, that really was, wasn't it? Guys, there's probably more, but I wanted to make that video for you. That was 10 petrifying things that maybe a parent would say it's petrifying, but this is part of the job, and it is something that we deal with on a daily basis. And yeah, we live to tell the tale, yeah? So touch wood, haven't had any accidents of our fault ever in 22 years. I hate saying that because it makes me feel like I'm going to have an accident soon, but which is our fault. But every accident that's ever happened in my car has always been the other person's fault. My student has never caused a crash or we've been liable for anything. Yeah, so there you go. I hope you found that entertaining. And if you want to be a driving instructor, just let me know, yeah? I've got the Valium. Valium? Is that what it's called? I've got some calmers in the glove compartment. No, I haven't. I'm just joking. All right, guys, I hope this helps you and was a bit of a laugh, and I'll see you on the next one.